Hello and welcome to today's lesson where we're looking at Theory U, a change management model by Otto Scharmer. Now, a core concept of Theory U is the blind spot. If you think just for a minute what leadership is, then really it's about shaping how one or more individuals understand and then respond to a situation. And if you think how leaders do this, then you might quickly identify the two most obvious ways. Firstly, what? The results the leader achieves, and secondly, how, the processes and strategies they use to achieve those results. However, there is another less obvious mechanism at play, the why, meaning the inner workings that drive and direct the leader. In athletes, we call the why the mental game. This mental game has been studied and books have been written about enhancing your mental game so you can become a better athlete. Yet very little is known about the leadership mental game, and it's often overlooked, which is why it's called the blind spot according to Theory U. And you need to access your blind spot according to the model to be an effective leader. Doing this will enable you to make decisions by drawing on your past experiences and what you aspire to be in the future. Now you can think of Theory U as a journey that allows you to tap into and explore your blind spot. It enables you to let go of how things were done in the past and embrace new ideas and ways of doing things. Theory U consists of 3 phases and 7 capacities that you can see here. Now you can think of each capacity as a skill that you need to develop. Capacities are often thought of as skills an individual must learn and grow, but groups need to practice them and grow them too. Now, as you travel down the left side of the U, you overcome your own resistance, and as you travel up the right side of the U, you prototype and build out your solutions, turning your ideas into reality. Let's examine each of the phases in a little more detail, along with the 7 capacities. So the first phase is sensing, and this is all about collecting information. So try to listen to people with an open mind by letting go of your preconceptions. Better yet, imagine yourself in their shoes. How do they see the problem? How do they see you? Your aim in this phase is to open yourself up so that you can uncover the reality. Failure to truly see can often be the biggest barrier to conquering your challenges. Now, while this sounds simple enough, it's difficult to do in practice, as it means letting go of the lifetime of biases that we all have. To help you with this, you need to build and develop 2 capacities. So the first is suspending judgment, which means being aware of your personal biases and then trying to suspend them temporarily to enable you to understand in an unbiased way. And the second is redirecting, which means being able to understand from a different perspective. So for example, instead of thinking about how you see the problem, consider asking each of your team members how they see the problem. The second phase is presencing, and this happens at the bottom of the U, where you listen to your blind spot. You need to let go of any solutions you might want to come next and allow new ideas to float into your consciousness. Now, presencing isn't about attempting to have a novel idea simply pop into your head. Instead, it's about arriving at a place where it's obvious what you need to do. You now see and understand the situation clearly and have 100% belief in what you must do now. Now, note that presencing is difficult and it will take time and practice for you to master. There are 2 capacities that support presencing, and you can see here that they're labeled 3 and 4. In total, we're going to look at 7. That's why we've already looked at 2, so that's why these are labeled 3 and 4. So firstly, we have letting go. So this means letting go of your ego and yourself, your sense of self. Maybe you have a favorite solution. Let it go. Maybe you think things should have been done a different way in the past. Let it go. Let everything go. Leave behind everything you know and welcome the unknown. The 4th capacity is letting come, and this means taking action. This is the first point in the model in which you begin to take action. Your role is to develop new ideas that are fully formed and obvious. So 2 activities you can do to support presencing include meditation and walking in nature. Now, both of these activities allow you to step outside of yourself and see yourself as part of a larger, bigger picture, which will be conducive to coming up with possible solutions. The 3rd phase is realizing. You enter this phase with total clarity about how to proceed. You have an image of the future you want to create in your mind. Now, you may not understand or see every brushstroke of that picture, but nevertheless, you know where you're trying to get to. So now in this phase, you're ready and need to make it a reality, starting quickly, but in a small way. Now, this phase is supported by 3 capacities. So capacity 5 is crystallizing, and this means defining your ideas and vision clearly. But it also means getting a small group of people to commit to the vision and the outcomes of the project. As Margaret Mead, an American anthropologist, said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." Now, the 6th capacity is prototyping. Theory U advocates bypassing traditional planning approaches and leaping in as quickly as possible by building quick, rough and ready models that you can work with. Try an idea out and then evaluate it. If it doesn't work as you hoped, change it. By failing fast and failing often, you learn more. This is better than having one massive failure on your hands later on. Prototyping helps you avoid paralysis of planning and paralysis of analysis. And the final capacity is institutionalizing. To institutionalize your project, you need to scale it to the macro level. That can be done by finding the right leaders and technology to take the project forward and embed it. So Theory U is a complex model, and it really is beyond the scope of this video to give anything more than an introduction to the subject. If you want to learn more, I recommend reading the book. But let's look at an extremely simple example of how you might begin to use the model in practice. So for this example, imagine you work in a large corporation and have just been promoted to a senior leadership role. You decide to leverage Theory U to determine how best to succeed in this new role. And you might begin by listening and by using the suspending judgment and redirecting capacities. Now, to do this, you're going to ask questions from all your key stakeholders and perhaps a large number of your direct and indirect reports too. The kind of questions you might ask will be things like, what is your most important target? How can I help you realize it? What criteria will you use to assess if my contribution to your work has been successful? What challenges have made it difficult for people in my role previously? So when you hear the answers to this, you should have a greater understanding of the issues. And you might decide to perform your presencing by taking walks in nature while contemplating where you should be trying to get to. And once you've gained clarity on your vision, the next step is to work to get stakeholders bought into it, and not necessarily on your side, but bought into the vision. So finally, once a core group of key people have bought into the vision, you move quickly to holding workshops so crude but working prototypes can be iterated through. These sessions serve to get everyone moving in the same direction and deepen your relationship with your key stakeholders. Now, there are several advantages and disadvantages associated with the model. In terms of advantages, then the model gives you a mechanism to attempt to solve the major, seemingly intractable issues of our day in a win-win way. The model moves directly from vision to action, enabling you to take small but productive steps forward quickly. And unlike many other models, it helps you explore the self, your blind spot. Now, in terms of disadvantages, then the model is difficult to understand and can be challenging to use in practice. Secondly, the process surrounding presencing is vague, without specific steps to take, even though it's the core part of the model. nor does it provide a mechanism to improve your presencing skills over time. So, in summary, Theory U is a change management model consisting of 3 phases and 7 capacities. Now, unlike many other change management models, Theory U encourages you to listen openly and deeply to the opinions of others and engage the self in the idea generation and selection process. The goal being that by engaging the self, you will know with absolute clarity the path you need to follow. Once you know what must be done, Theory U encourages you to begin prototyping as quickly as possible. So that's it for this lesson. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.